He said it on national television, and the world stopped breathing for a moment. I never felt anything for them. Those 6 words changed everything. They weren't whispered in anger, not shouted in a fight, just cold, detached, like the sentence had been rehearsed in his head for years. When the audio leaked online, the Brown family's last shred of peace vanished overnight. Christine's face appeared on the courthouse steps the next morning, pale and shaking. Behind her, lawyers carried folders stamped emergency petition, emotional harm. For once, there were no TLC cameras, only silence, reporters, and the echo of Kody's voice looping through the internet. Sometimes the truth isn't found in what's said, it's in how coldly it's said. Inside the courthouse, the tension could have been cut with a knife. Christine sat near the front, gripping a photo of Truly, her hand trembling. Mary and Janelle exchanged nervous glances, unsure if they were allies or witnesses. And Robyn? Robyn sat alone, eyes red, face drained of color, as if she'd aged 10 years overnight. The judge entered quietly, his robe brushing against the wood as he took his seat. We're here regarding Brown versus Brown, case number 2493. Counselors, I understand there's new evidence submitted overnight? Christine's attorney, Ms. Leland, stood. Yes, Your Honor. We have verified audio from the upcoming Special Forces broadcast, in which Mr. Brown admits to deliberate emotional detachment toward his children. It has caused measurable psychological distress. Across the aisle, Kody leaned back, arms crossed. His hair, usually perfectly styled for the cameras, hung damp and unkept. The exhaustion in his eyes wasn't from guilt, it was from being caught. The judge nodded. Proceed. The courtroom speakers crackled to life. Then that voice, hoarse, broken, angry. They think pain makes you weak, Kody said in the clip. It doesn't. It makes you sharper. I trained myself to stop feeling for them because feelings make you soft. A collective gasp filled the room. Robyn covered her mouth. Mary turned away. Christine's tears fell without sound, and just like that, the mask everyone thought was love shattered. When the audio ended, no one spoke for a full 20 seconds. The judge blinked slowly. Is that authentic? He asked. Verified by TLC engineers, Ms. Leland replied. The same engineers who recorded him. Kody's lawyer jumped up. Objection! Context matters. This was a psychological test, part of a reality television endurance event. It's not a confession. Christine's voice broke through. He wasn't acting. That's who he is. The judge motioned for order. Cameras flashed from the gallery. News outlets had packed every seat. Outside, protesters held signs. Justice for the kids, cancel Kody, and Special Forces lied. In the middle of the chaos, Robyn whispered to no one in particular. He promised he'd never say that out loud. Her words were barely audible, but Christine heard them. Their eyes met for the first time in months. 2 women who'd once shared the same man, now united by disbelief. Kody's attorney adjusted his tie. Your Honor, the defense will demonstrate that the footage was taken out of context and manipulated for shock value by producers seeking ratings. Mr. Brown was performing under extreme physical duress, but the judge wasn't convinced. Then we'll need to see the full recording, he said. Christine's attorney smiled faintly. That's the problem, Your Honor. TLC won't release it. They claim there's a cut version only for broadcast. The word cut hung heavy in the air. When truth is edited, guilt hides in the missing frames. Reporters scribbled furiously. The gallery buzzed. The judge sighed. Then I'll issue a subpoena for the unedited footage. Kody's jaw clenched. You can't. That's private network property. It's evidence now, the judge replied flatly. Christine sat still, her fingers tightening around the photograph. He said he stopped feeling for them, she murmured. Then what does that make us? Outside, thunder rumbled over Flagstaff, rattling the courthouse windows. Inside, Kody folded his hands like a preacher. You people don't get it, he said suddenly. You all think love means being weak. I raised them to survive. The courtroom froze. Even the judge seemed unsure if he should interrupt. Christine's attorney leaned forward. You raised them to fear you. The silence that followed was unbearable. Robyn quietly rose and walked out, tears trailing down her cheeks. Cameras followed, capturing every step. The moment Robyn left, the illusion of loyalty left with her. A break was called. Reporters rushed out to broadcast live updates. Inside, Christine sat quietly, staring at the table, whispering to herself, he doesn't even know what he did wrong. Kody watched her, emotionless. His eyes flicked toward the cameras and then to the ceiling, as if waiting for someone else, maybe TLC, to save him. When the session resumed, the judge addressed both sides. "We'll reconvene tomorrow for preliminary testimony. But I'm warning everyone, if the uncut footage exists, it will surface." The bailiff called order, but before Kody could leave, a voice from the gallery shouted, "You're a monster!" Security moved fast, yet the echo lingered in every corner of the room. Kody smirked faintly, almost proud. That smirk became the photo plastered across every outlet that night. Hours later, Robyn sat in her car outside their empty house. Rain drummed against the windshield. She pressed play on a voice memo she'd secretly kept, the same recording that the world hadn't heard yet. Kody's voice again, lower this time. "If they hate me, good. Fear keeps them loyal." Her hands shook as she hit pause. Sometimes the only way to protect your family is to expose it. The next morning, Christine's lawyer received an anonymous package at her office, a USB drive labeled simply "full tape." Inside the file was the raw, unedited confession filmed during the Special Forces Endurance Night, and at the very end of that footage, after Kody muttered that haunting line, he looked directly at the camera and said, "If they show this, I'm finished." The screen went black. The lawyer lifted her eyes, realizing whoever leaked this wanted one thing: truth in open court. Kody didn't know it yet, but by the next hearing, that truth would be played out loud for the world to hear. Because the real battle wasn't on TV anymore. It was about to begin in front of a judge. The courthouse was silent, not from lack of people, but from the weight of what was about to happen. Christine sat at the plaintiff's table, the USB drive in her lawyer's hand. Everything rested on this. A drive mailed anonymously, labeled in sharp black ink. Full tape. They hadn't even told the judge what was on it yet. That was intentional. Kody paced behind his table, his expression unreadable. His attorney whispered furiously in his ear, but he waved her off like a fly. From the corner of the courtroom, Mary watched Kody with an expression no one could quite read, equal parts numb, curious, and disappointed. Robyn hadn't returned that day. Not yet. The judge entered and everyone stood. "We'll resume proceedings," he said calmly, nodding at Christine's side. "Ms. Leland?" Christine's attorney stood. "Your Honor, we've received an unedited version of the Special Forces footage. We believe this new evidence not only confirms our claims, but also demonstrates a pattern of emotional cruelty toward the children." The courtroom stirred. Kody's eyes narrowed. "What's the source?" the judge asked. "Anonymous," Ms. Leland admitted, "but verified through the embedded TLC metadata. It matches timestamp and production labeling used on the show's official files." Kody's lawyer jumped to his feet. "Objection! Chain of custody is broken. We don't know who tampered with that footage." "We can verify the file's integrity," Ms. Leland snapped back. "We've had it examined by a certified forensic video analyst. No cuts, no splices, no tampering. When the truth is raw and untouched, it has the power to tear through every lie that came before it." The judge took a long breath. "Play the footage." The bailiff inserted the drive. A screen flickered to life beside the judge's bench. The image was dark. A grainy night vision shot from Special Forces filming. Kody seated on the dirt, drenched in sweat, breathing hard. The challenge had been brutal. 36 hours without sleep. Pushed through cold water, isolation chambers, verbal confrontations by military instructors. Then came the question from off-screen. "What's your biggest emotional weakness?" Kody blinked. He looked into the distance for a moment. Then he smiled. "My kids?" he muttered. "But not in the way people think. I stopped caring years ago." "Caring slows you down." Christine inhaled sharply. Mary visibly flinched. In the back row, Gwendolyn clutched her mouth. The footage continued. "You stopped caring?" the instructor asked, clearly surprised. Kody nodded. "Yeah, they were disappointments. Emotional vampires. You give, and they stab you in the back for not loving them enough. So I turned it off. Emotionally. Deliberately." The courtroom froze. There are confessions. And then there are declarations. And this wasn't regret. This was pride. Gasps broke out across the gallery. The judge raised his hand. "Order," he said, but even his voice trembled. Kody's attorney leaned in, whispering again, but Kody didn't look away from the screen. The footage jumped slightly. New timestamp. "Kody again, this time lying on his back on the dirt. You still see yourself as a father?" the off-screen voice asked. "No," Kody said. "Fatherhood's overrated. They want hugs and apologies. I gave them survival." A woman in the gallery sobbed loudly. The judge gestured for the bailiff to assist her out of the room. On screen, Kody sat up again. "If this airs," he muttered under his breath, "I'm finished." And then he stared directly into the camera. I don't care. I don't care. The screen went black. Sometimes the most damaging words are spoken with no hesitation, because the speaker meant everyone. No one in the courtroom breathed. Even Kody seemed to shrink in his seat. Just for a moment, Christine wiped her face. She wasn't crying, she was furious. A storm had built behind her eyes, 1 year in the making. Ms. Leland stood. Your Honor, we ask the court to consider this direct evidence of long-term emotional abuse, particularly toward Truly Brown, whose documented anxiety symptoms align with Mr. Brown's admissions. The judge looked rattled. He rubbed his eyes. Defense? Kody's attorney stood, flustered. Your Honor, these statements were made under extreme physical duress. My client had no control over his faculties. He was manipulated by a television production. But Kody, he didn't speak. He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. He didn't even look at Christine. Instead, he whispered to his attorney. They made me say worse. I just didn't think they'd show that part, and Christine heard it. She stood. Your Honor, she said clearly, I'd like to request that my daughter truly be excused from all future interactions with Kody Brown unless supervised by a licensed therapist. I no longer feel she is emotionally safe in his presence. The judge looked up, filed and noted, then Mary stood. I'd like to be heard. All eyes turned. Mary walked slowly toward the bench, her voice firm. I've defended Kody for years, covered for him, but I've seen it. The coldness. The way he manipulates every child into silence, especially the girls. She turned toward the gallery. And I let it happen, because I didn't want to be alone. The hardest part of healing isn't admitting someone else hurt you. It's admitting you helped them do it. She stepped back. The judge sighed deeply. We'll break for the day. Court is adjourned, but just as the gavel was about to fall, a hand rose in the back. A man stood, tall, mid-40s, with a badge on his hip. Your Honor, he said. My name is Dean Carmichael. I was a supervising producer for Special Forces. I'd like to testify under subpoena. Everyone froze. The judge blinked. You're willing to testify? Yes, sir. Because there's more footage, he said. The producers cut the worst parts. TLC never intended to air them, but I kept copies. Off the books. Christine's mouth dropped open. Why now? The judge asked. Because I saw the leak, Carmichael said. And I realized they were going to bury the rest forever. But someone needs to hear it. Kody stood violently. He's lying. No, Carmichael said calmly. You are. The truth wasn't buried. It was hidden. And now it's crawling out of the vault. The judge stared at the former producer. Be here tomorrow. Bring everything. Carmichael nodded. I will, and trust me. What you've heard so far? That was the warm-up. Kody turned ghost white. Christine finally smiled, but her smile wasn't relief. It was revenge. And outside the courtroom, the world waited to hear what Kody Brown said, when he thought the cameras were off. The next morning, the courthouse was surrounded by media trucks before sunrise. A sea of cameras, reporters, and live streamers gathered for what was now being called the Special Forces trial. Headlines screamed, Brown tape bombshell, TLC cover-up, and Kody's collapse. Inside, the courtroom filled quickly. Christine arrived early, hair pulled back, suit crisp. This time she didn't carry a picture of Truly. This time she carried a notebook and a pen. Kody hadn't arrived yet, but Dean Carmichael had. He sat silently, a man haunted by what he was about to reveal. The former Special Forces producer looked nervous, but determined. Beside him, a sealed briefcase sat on the bench like a loaded weapon. Christine glanced at him. Are you sure you're ready? Carmichael nodded. Been ready since they buried the first cut. At 9:02 a.m., Kody entered with his legal team. He looked worse than the day before, face sunken, eyes hollow. But his walk was defiant. He locked eyes with Christine as he passed, and flinched when she didn't look away. The judge took his seat. Mr. Carmichael, you're under subpoena. Do you understand the implications? I do, Dean said. I've submitted the unedited tapes, all of them, with metadata and producer logs. What the public saw was a fraction of what Kody said on set. Kody's lawyer jumped in. Objection! This man's a disgruntled ex-employee. His credibility is tainted. He was the senior post-production supervisor, Christine's attorney replied. If anyone knows what was cut, it's him. Sometimes the loudest evidence isn't what's played, it's what was silenced. The judge nodded. Proceed. Dean stepped forward. During filming, contestants were pushed to extreme limits. Most broke, but Kody didn't break. He changed, he paused. On night 3, during isolation, we asked the cast about their biggest regrets. Kody laughed. He said, "My regret? Not walking away from my kids sooner." The courtroom gasped. Kody stood suddenly. "That's not what I said. You're twisting it." "You said it," Carmichael replied. "We have it on tape." I marked the timestamp. Christine's attorney moved fast. "Let's play it." The courtroom lights dimmed as the new footage began. A green hue again, the same night vision style. Kody sat alone, hood pulled low, breath fogging in the cold. Off-screen, the producer asked, "Regrets?" Kody chuckled. "Regrets for people who think they owe somebody? I don't. My kids? They were liabilities, little emotional grenades waiting to go off. You keep them at a distance, you don't get shrapnel." Someone in the courtroom cried out. It was Gwendolyn. "You can raise children with your hands, but you destroy them with your words." On screen, Kody leaned forward, grinning. "You want to survive reality TV? Be the villain. Let 'em hate you. Hate is clean. It's loyalty that's messy." He pointed at the camera lens. "And if Christine's watching, tell her thanks. Her crying made me famous." Christine didn't move, but her hands shook. On screen, the footage jumped again. Now Kody was standing, arms stretched, yelling into the night, "You all think I'm a bad dad?" Newsflash, I was never trying to be a dad. I was building a brand. The screen went black. No one in the courtroom moved. Even the judge sat speechless. What began as parenting had turned into PR, and now the mask had cracked wide open. Dean Carmichael cleared his throat. "Your Honor, this wasn't a moment of weakness. It was a pattern." Kody repeated these sentiments over multiple nights. "We cut it because the network said it was too damaging. Not to Kody, but to the brand." The judge turned to Kody. "Do you deny this footage?" Kody stared straight ahead. "I said things I didn't mean," Christine finally spoke. "You meant every word." And then a new voice broke the silence. "Your Honor?" Everyone turned. It was Robyn. She had entered quietly, standing in the back in a simple black dress. No makeup, no entourage. Just truth. The judge nodded. "Yes, Ms. Brown?" "I have something to add," she said. "And I brought my own copy of the footage." A flash drive was held high in her trembling hand. Christine narrowed her eyes. "You had it this whole time?" Robyn nodded. "I asked the editors for a private copy. I thought I could change him. I thought if I kept it, I could protect the kids. She didn't keep it to expose him. She kept it hoping it wouldn't come true." The judge called a recess to review Robyn's drive. Outside, chaos erupted. The footage had gone viral overnight. Every Brown child on social media was being tagged. Truly's name trended for hours. Gabe issued a statement calling his father's words the final betrayal. Meanwhile, inside chambers, the judge sat with Robyn's copy playing. There was one clip TLC didn't have, one they'd missed. It was Kody, alone again, whispering to himself, "No camera pues. No challenge. Just pure honesty. I don't even know if I love them." He muttered, "I keep pretending I do. But all I feel is resentment. That they need me." Then he looked up. "And if this makes me a monster, then I'm the monster they made. It wasn't a leak anymore. It was a confession." By the time court resumed, the gallery was full again. The judge returned, visibly shaken. "We will move this case forward to full trial," he announced. With charges of emotional abuse, potential child endangerment, and obstruction by omission. Christine stood taller. Kody didn't flinch. He sat down slowly, his smirk gone. But the real shock came moments later, when the judge said, "Ms. Robyn Brown, we may need you on the stand under oath." Her head lifted. "I'll testify." Christine's attorney stepped in. "On what grounds?" Robyn turned. "I've kept journals," she said. "About Kody. About the things he said to the kids when the cameras were off. About the threats. The manipulation. I wrote them down in case. In case I ever needed to leave?" Christine's mouth fell open. "You wrote it all down?" Robyn nodded. Kody exploded. "You betrayed me." "No," Robyn said softly. "I protected them." "From you. She wasn't the loyal wife anymore. She was the final witness." The judge looked between them. "You have 24 hours to submit those journals." Robyn nodded, and as she turned to leave, Christine whispered one word under her breath. "Finally." The courtroom had never felt this quiet, like the air itself was waiting. Robyn sat alone at the front table, her hands trembling around a stack of handwritten journals. Thick leather-bound books. "They contain everything," she whispered. "Everything I was too scared to say out loud. Sometimes silence isn't protection. It's complicity, until it finally turns into evidence." Kody's attorney leapt up. Your Honor, this is a breach of spousal trust. These are private reflections, not admissible legal documents. The judge raised his hand. Sit down, counselor. These journals have direct bearing on the allegations presented. I will allow them. Robyn flipped to a bookmarked page and read the entry aloud. January 17th, 2021. Kody told Gabe he was weak for crying about Garrison's absence. Said, I didn't raise soldiers to be emotional wrecks. I told him he was being harsh. He told me, stop mothering them. Or they'll end up like Christine's kids, entitled and soft. Gasps rippled through the room. Christine's hand flew to her mouth. Mary lowered her eyes. Janelle looked like she might stand and walk out. Kody stood yelling, those were private moments. You twisted my words. No, Robyn said. I preserved them. Because you always pretended it never happened. The judge motioned for Robyn to continue. She turned to another entry. August 5th, 2022. Aurora had a panic attack when Kody yelled at Brianna. He slammed his hand on the table and told Brianna she was lucky to have a dad who still cared enough to scream. Murmurs broke out in the courtroom. Yelling isn't parenting. It's power. And Kody was addicted to both. Christine stood. Your Honor, this confirms a pattern of emotional violence toward his own children in his own home. The judge looked at Kody. Do you deny saying this? Kody laughed. They were brats. I was disciplining them. Through intimidation? Christine snapped. You called Aurora an emotional leech during dinner? Kody slammed his hands on the table. I never said that. Robyn slowly turned another page. March 12th, 2023. Kody told me, if Aurora ever gets therapy, she'll tell them everything. So I told her therapy was a scam. The courtroom exploded. Reporters scribbled like mad. Producers from TLC sat frozen in the gallery. Robyn wasn't crying now. She was burning. This wasn't just a betrayal of family. It was a war on their healing. The judge called for silence, and then Janelle stood. Your Honor, if I may. The room quieted. I wanted on record that I witnessed some of this. Not the exact moments Robyn wrote about, but the patterns. The punishments, the fear, the way he made Gabriel apologize for crying after COVID, the way he punished Savannah by disappearing for 6 weeks because she asked why he missed her. Graduation, she turned toward Kody. And you gaslit us all, every single one of us. And we let you. The judge looked stunned. Is this turning into a multi-plaintiff case? Christine's attorney nodded. It could. But then came the biggest twist. Robyn closed the journal she'd been reading and pulled out a single sheet of paper. I wrote something else, she said. It wasn't a journal entry. It was a letter. For the kids? I never sent it. She unfolded it. Her hands shook. To all of you. Aurora, Brianna, Dayton, Truly, Gabe, Gwendolyn, Logan, Savannah, Peden, Hunter. I'm sorry. I stayed with someone I knew was hurting you. I thought I could protect you by managing him. I was wrong. I should have left years ago. But I didn't have the courage. So I wrote this instead. A deep silence. I didn't think you'd ever see it. But now you will. Christine looked at her with a complicated mix of shock, anger, and, strangely, relief. Even Mary blinked away tears. Forgiveness doesn't start with an apology. It starts with the courage to admit you stayed silent too long. The judge leaned forward. I'm ordering all journal entries submitted into official record, he said. And I'm expanding this case. What began as a custody and emotional abuse hearing is now under review for psychological endangerment and coercive control across multiple minors. Kody stood, fuming. You're crucifying me based on feelings and scribbles in a notebook? The judge turned to him. You did that yourself. These aren't scribbles. Their testimony, Kody's attorney begged for a recess. It was granted. Outside, the chaos grew. Fans of the show held signs. Some read justice for the kids. Others held Robyn's face and said, too late. And inside the courthouse cafeteria, Christine and Robyn found themselves standing at the same coffee cart. They didn't speak at first. Then Robyn said, You were right. Christine turned. About what? Robyn blinked. That he never really loved anyone but himself, Christine. Didn't respond, but she didn't walk away, either. And Robyn whispered something else. I think Dayton might testify. Christine's eyes widened. When the children become the witnesses, the truth has nowhere left to hide. As court reconvened, the judge addressed both legal teams. We will resume tomorrow morning. We'll hear from Mr. Dayton Brown. Kody's face paled. Robyn sat very still. And Christine. She smiled for the first time in weeks. Dayton Brown had always been the quiet one, the gentle giant in the background, the son who avoided cameras, who rarely spoke in confessionals, who kept his head down while the rest of the Brown household splintered in front of America. But on this day, under oath, in open court, he would speak, and what he had to say would tear down the last wall Kody had, built to protect himself. The courtroom buzzed the moment his name was called. Christine leaned forward, Hobbins, clutched her seat. Kody didn't even look at the door. But everyone else turned when Dayton entered, taller, older, and different now. There was a quiet fury in his eyes, not rage, not revenge, but a calm determination only born from years of silence. The bailiff swore him in. Dayton nodded and took the stand. The court reporter adjusted her fingers over the keys. 1 million people would read what he was about to say. Christine's lawyer approached. Dayton, please tell the court your relationship to the defendant. He's my adoptive father, Dayton said flatly. But I stopped calling him that a long time ago. Kody blinked. Just once. Can you tell us why? Dayton took a breath. Because he weaponized love. He made it something we had to earn. When a child says they had to earn a parent's love, what they're really saying is, I never felt safe. The courtroom was silent. He used to tell us, Dayton continued, that if we were soft, we wouldn't survive. That being emotional made us disposable. Those were his words. Christine's lawyer nodded. Did you witness him saying this to other children? Yes. I saw him tell Gabe he was a drain. I saw him yell at Savannah for crying over her mom. I watched him ignore Truly for weeks because she didn't thank him for a birthday card he never even gave her. Christine exhaled sharply. Did you record anything? Dayton paused, and then reached into his jacket. He pulled out a small black USB. I kept a backup of the house security system. The courtroom gasped. I'm autistic, Dayton said, and routines matter to me. When he disrupted those routines, I noticed things. So I started saving the camera files. Christine's lawyer took the USB, her hands visibly shaking. What's on here? Conversations, Dayton said. Private ones he thought no one heard. Ones where he mocked Robyn behind her back. Where he said he married her for pity points. Ones where he said things like, I only care about Truly when the audience does. Loyalty isn't built on fear, it's built on presence, and Kody was never there unless a camera was. Robyn sobbed. The judge leaned forward. You're saying there's verifiable audio of these statements? Yes, Dayton said, and I gave another copy to my attorney. In case something happens to me, Kody's lawyer stood. Objection! This is circumstantial, speculative, and an invasion of privacy. Overruled, the judge said without hesitation. This is court-ordered testimony. Proceed. Christine looked at Dayton, eyes full of gratitude and heartbreak all at once. He continued. Growing up, I thought Kody was a hero. I defended him when classmates mocked the show. I lied for him when reporters showed up. I told myself he yelled because he cared. But the truth is, he only raised his voice when he felt his control slipping. And how did that make you feel? Dayton's jaw tensed, like I didn't exist. Like I was a prop. He didn't ask about my therapy. He didn't come to my surgeries. He didn't even remember the date of my graduation. He paused. I watched him memorize lines for special forces. But forget my name on a doctor form. Neglect isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the echo of your own voice. Unanswered, the courtroom was in stunned silence. Christine's lawyer gently asked, Why are you doing this now? Dayton looked at Robyn. Because I couldn't protect her. Because I watched him break her down for years. I watched him convince her to turn on everyone. I watched him convince her that being isolated was love. And I'm done being quiet, Robyn cried into her hands. Kody stood suddenly. You ungrateful little... The bailiff stepped between him and the stand. Control yourself, Mr. Brown, the judge warned. Dayton didn't even flinch. I'm not afraid of him anymore, he said quietly. He doesn't get to own my silence. The judge called for a 15-minute recess. The courtroom erupted, reporters filing urgent updates, producers whispering about whether TLC would even survive this. Christine walked up to Dayton slowly. I didn't know, she whispered. I didn't want you to, Dayton replied, but I see how hard you fought. For all of us. Christine hugged him, and across the room, Robyn finally stood and walked toward her son, but he stepped back. I'm not ready, he said. She nodded. Tears fell, but she didn't force it. Healing doesn't come when you're ready. It comes when you're brave. After recess, the judge returned with fire in his eyes. I am authorizing a full audio review of the footage submitted by Mr. Brown.